Hi guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Hopefully not running on a couple hours of sleep like me, but that's part of the grind of the conference. So.
All right. Hopefully everyone's here to talk about AI and ChatGPT and whatever psychedelic ideas we came up with along the way. So let's go.
So we do want to thank our 2023 Platinum sponsors as well as our Gold, Silver, and Digital sponsors. We appreciate your support. Would not be here without you guys.
Go visit.
Yep.
Not now, though. Wait till after the session.
For introduction, my name is Eric Marsi. I'm from Barberton, Ohio. I'm a two-time Microsoft MVP. I'm the founder and principal solutions architect at Voltec Solutions, and also the director of technology for the National Teams User Group. Wonderful list of certifications, and some of my hobbies involve reverse engineering, research, and all this other fun stuff. Go ahead and reach out to me. Socials are there.
I am Richard Brynteson. I am the Argyle MVP, and outside of that, I'm from somewhere. So, next slide. Oh, we have to play.
Demo time.
Demo.
Yep. So 1 week left till comes you next, and it's 2 a.m. We have no presentation left, so what do we do? So we asked ChatGPT, can you make us a presentation? And we look at it from the Teams PSTN voice admin and the Teams app developer side. And then we ask ChatGPT to go ahead and put presentation. So hello, everyone. I'd like to present to you a topic.
No, we're not going to read a script.
No.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
No. But we will skip ahead a little bit past there. And I'm just going to kind of go ahead and skip past that part of the video. So introduction, done. We're going to go through what ChatGPT is, look at Teams administration API potentials, and then Richard's going to hop into Azure AI and OpenAI. We'll look through some limitations, concerns, go through a call to action, and finally end with a giveaway. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask those during the presentation as well.
Yep.
So what is ChatGPT?
So we thought it would be good to level set, so we obviously just asked ChatGPT, what is ChatGPT? So this is the answer ChatGPT gave us. It is a large language model developed by OpenAI. The whole idea is, right, it is trained on data, and that data then, based on the large language model, will return information back to us. Hopefully everyone in this room has seen ChatGPT, used it, clicked on it. If you haven't, I'm a little concerned, actually. Next slide. A couple of things that's worth calling out in here, right? So the idea is you're going to see, if you were in Tom's session before about bots, it was a great session. You're going to continue to see bots continue to grow in number, right? As this technology becomes more ubiquitous, more developer-friendly, you're just going to see it in a lot more places, right? So ChatGPT has the potential of transforming how we do our jobs, right? We gave a really sexy title about how you're going to automate yourself out of a job. I don't really think you're going to automate yourself out of a job. I'm going to be really clear. I know. And the funny thing is, I had to ask ChatGPT because I didn't know what GPT stood for. I had no clue. It's Generative Pre-trained Transformer. That's a terrible name. I'm happy they refer to it as GPT because I would have no clue what that is. So hopefully that helps just kind of level set. There are different versions that came out November of last year. So, all right, so let's talk about some things we can actually do here.
Okay.
So when we did this session, I think we submitted in December. Yeah, so Copilot wasn't a thing. ChatGPT was out for like half a second. We honestly submitted it almost as a joke. Not really a joke, but kind of a joke because we're like, what can we talk about that's different? This isn't about Copilot, because honestly, there's nothing to talk about with Copilot. Like, we saw some really cool demos, and that's literally it. But the idea here to know is that the future of Microsoft is Copilot, right? So it's a great name, right? Copilot means it's there to help you. You are still in charge, hence my callback. We're not all going to lose our jobs, right? And Microsoft has a ton of different Copilot products coming in the future, right? And this is the list I found. I probably missed some, honestly. I mean, there's probably like Copilot for SharePoint or something coming. I have no clue. So know that the future is stuffed directly into this world of AI. And right, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I did not put the Visual Studio Copilot. I did GitHub Copilot. I mean, that's close enough. It's like Copilot adjacent.
Waiting for every single product from Microsoft just to have whatever Copilot.
Correct, yes. And then Copilot Premium Pack, and then Service Pack 1 Copilot. So it's coming. You know it is. With your new Z1 licensing. Only $1,200 per user. Okay, next slide.
So we're going to go ahead and start off looking at what you can do as a Teams administrator from both a PowerShell standpoint and from an API perspective to potentially automate different things that you're doing that you may or may not know how to do with ChatGPT. So when you look at some of the potentials, we mentioned that ChatGPT is here to assist you and not replace you. And so with that, we want to make sure that ChatGPT is being used in a way to benefit whatever you're doing. Primarily, I'm going to look at this from a voice admin perspective. So some use cases, just throwing these out there. Phone number provisioning against your users. Maybe you don't know how to properly put together a PowerShell script with error checking for each commandlet that you're running. Maybe you just know the set CS phone number assignment commandlet, and you want to make that better, but you don't necessarily want to learn every bit of PowerShell. ChatGPT can help you. Policy assignment, licensing, general PowerShell functions, as well as updates to existing code. So, as you guys also know, Teams is always changing. PowerShell commandlets are always changing. APIs are always changing. Maybe you have a script that's 2 years old that no longer works. ChatGPT can potentially go through and fix the code that's there. Or maybe you just have an issue with your code. It can go through and figure out what is actually wrong with your code. So, with that, we're going to hop into a demo. So, this first example, I've got a, try to blow that up actually, make it a little bit bigger. Do you know where the zoom is on this? I don't even know if there is a zoom on it.
Can't you just do the normal control?
I don't think you can. Oh.
I think you can.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So I've got a small PowerShell script here. This is just a script that's going out, connecting to Microsoft Teams. It's importing a list of users from a CSV, and then it's going through each and every user, assigning the phone number, and also the online voice routing policy provision they use for direct routing. Very basic, very similar code, very usual code. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, and I'm going to remove some letters. Let's just say, okay, cool, I've got all this code and things are not working as expected. So what I'll do is I'll go over here, I'll go into ChatGPT, I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to go ahead and say, I have a snippet of code that is not working. Please fix it. And then we're going to go ahead and paste in our code. We go ahead and ask, oh, wonderful.
See, I had my fingers crossed.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? I have a snippet of code. Please fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wonderful.
Just hit refresh of the page.
I just did.
Oh, you did?
I'm going to do a new tab.
Yeah. Love ChatGPT.
Please.
See, your job's not going away. You're going to spend half your time sitting here writing text into.
Please. Wow. Okay. So.
Yeah, try it. Try Bing Chat. Great.
Pulling up memes.
I just want everyone to know this is absolutely my fault.
Why is this your
fault? Oh, because last time I did a live demo and it was like developer related, Teams actually went down in the middle of my presentation. It was really awesome.
Keep saying that I'm not signed in. Oh, that's wonderful. Maybe I should have just closed the web browser and reopened it. There we go.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Please fix this code.
Next, we'll ask it to fix itself if this doesn't work.
Let's see what happens.
All right. Oh, my goodness. It's alive.
I don't know if Bing's version of ChatGPT will work for this.
I don't know. We're going to find out. You didn't upgrade, that's why. Should have upgraded to Pro.
Yeah, Richard's bragging because he's paying the $20 a month
That's
for
right.
the upgrade.
Got to upgrade to Pro. Oh, look at that. It answered it.
Yeah, correct. So it's saying there. There you go. So without modifying the script too much, it went through and fixed the mistypings that we purposely went ahead and threw in that script.
So even Bing can do it. Look at that.
Yeah, nice. So that is an example of updating code that maybe is not working. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of undo those two changes. Now, let's say we have this bit of code. We want to start adding additional functionality to it. Maybe you're not well versed in PowerShell. Maybe you're just, let's figure out, let's have ChatGPT do this for us. So we're going to copy that exact same code. We're going to try this in actual ChatGPT again. I'm going to refresh this page. Maybe it'll work. Give it a second. Please add functionality to the script to ensure that the script is running as, oh, sorry, not the script, the PowerShell window is running as an admin, and that the latest version of the Teams PowerShell module from the PS Gallery is installed. Now, why am I being very specific here? ChatGPT takes everything you enter into it literally. So if I were to say, make sure the script is running as an admin, it will sometimes respond and say, okay, is the user actually a part of the local admins group on the machine? So you have to be specific with how you're inputting your data to ChatGPT to say, what are you actually trying to do? Yep. So if I go here, and I paste in that script, ChatGPT will respond back. It'll create two functions.
Nope.
Nope.
Copy and paste it.
I'm copying and pasting. I'm not retyping that. We're going to, here, we're going to do this. Chat, it's probably a token issue or something.
Conference Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I just lost Wi-Fi.
Oh, look at that.
It's trying to connect to the podcast booth. That's wonderful.
Oh, he's trying to do a podcast right now? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, now it's not connecting to the Denver conference. Come on, you can do it.
Something about this room. I've noticed a lot of...
Oh, now we're connected. There we go. Give it a second. Live demos, everybody.
Yeah. It's Pat's fault. Oh, there we go. Not anymore.
Now we got a loading page. Now we got a loading page.
Oh, not a bot. My goodness.
Wait, can't we have ChatGPT click that box for us?
I would think so.
That'd be nice.
Another reason why you buy Pro. Now he's going to log in again.
This time I'll have it right off.
All right. Someone had a question. Should you buy Pro? That was the question while we're doing this. I think it's actually worth it, right? So we'll talk about like where you can use it in some other instances. The things I have found, right? It is way faster. That is just, it is a truth statement. You watch it like slowly do its thing, or we're out of resources, right? I've never had that. The answers are actually because you have access to the GPT-4 model. So when you use the non-Pro version, you're stuck in GPT 3.5. In 4, they've kind of tweaked the language model, so you can do side-by-side in them because there's actually a drop-down, and I can show you that. And you can see the answers, and they are very different between the two, so it does a better job of that kind of human language understanding between the two. So I found it worth it, personally. I don't know, expense it, ask the boss, I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Is it working?
So Bing's ChatGPT version does not actually generate the script, but actual ChatGPT is not running that code for me at all.
All right, do this. Send it to me in a, fire it over to an IM. We'll use Pro.
I don't want to show any PII or anything on there.
That's fine. Just unplug.
Hey, that's a good idea.
One moment. Any other questions while we fix ChatGPT? So the question was nuances between Bing and OpenAI. So they're based on similar language models. They are not the same, right? So you can ask a question in Bing and ChatGPT, and you will end up with two very different answers, right? And when we talk about the Azure AI piece, that is also a slightly tweaked model as well, right? So the Bing AI, a lot of it has to do with training data as well. So ChatGPT, and we'll talk about this later, right? The training data for it is September of 2021. That's the last bit of live information in it. So if anything has happened in like the last 2 years, it knows nothing about it, right? It's really dumb. So Bing is tied more into the internet, so you've got a little bit more recent information. So you're going to have, you know, more accuracy, right? And we'll talk about that as well. So, hey, Eric Marsi sent me a message. All right, let's see this thing work. Do you want me to unplug it? Okay. All right. Unplug.
That's why we have two computers, right?
Exactly. Da, 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 da. There we go. Sweet. All right. Now we're going to just find out if ChatGPT is down.
Would be awesome if you're probably like in your own private instance, which doesn't go down.
Boom. Look at that. See
Also,
Pro?
yeah,
I mean,
the Pro is like that.
yeah, it is wildly faster. All right. So there you go. You can,
Awesome. So the first part, it generated a if statement to verify the script is running as an admin. So it's just pulling in a .NET variable to see if the role is running as an administrator. If it isn't, then it just writes an error that says, please run the script as an administrator and exits. So that function is function. I'm going to say function, even though it's not in a function. Right. The next one goes ahead and goes out and finds out what version of the Teams PowerShell module is installed. If the module is less than the repository version, it goes ahead and updates to the latest module. It does also have that force parameter, so we'll force that update. And then further down the script, you'll see that we have those two functions combined. And then it went through and it pulled in our Connect Microsoft Teams along with the users equals and the rest of our script that we added. Now that's cool for adding functionality at the header or in between that. But what if we want to also change this some more? What we'll do for the two Teams PowerShell commandlets, please put these in a try catch with an error action. Why would we want to do that with PowerShell? There we go. So why would we want to do that? So in the event that a PowerShell commandlet were to fail, we want to be able to write that that's an error instead of just continuing on without with the way that the script would be normally running. Now in this example, we're just setting a basic try catch. It's not really doing much of anything other than just saying, hey, it failed for this user, etc. Now, what we would want to do is then have it save that in memory at the end. So let's just say maybe the Teams API is limiting phone number assignment. That happens a lot with setCS phone number assignment. Let's say we want to save that in memory so that we can rerun at the end of our user provisioning. That's a very common use case that I've ran into, and so some of the scripts I've got, I save any commandlet that fails, and I retry those at the end just in case it was a rate-limited issue instead of an actual issue with commandlet. So what we'll do is come back here, and we'll say, if I can find your mouse, please save the commandlets ran that fail and attempt to rerun them at the end of the script. Is it actually doing that?
looks like
Yep,
it.
perfect. So what it did is it created an array called failed commandlets, and it added in a commandlet that contains the data that we put in there. And then if there's any at the end, it'll go through and attempt to rerun those commandlets using the data that it pulled from that commandlet. Again, if you were wanting to do this by hand, it would have taken a lot longer than just that amount of time we just spent talking to ChatGPT.
And the key piece here that you're seeing is this concept of prompt chaining, right? That's the kind of the power of the bot, right? A lot of bots people write is that one instance, right? I ask, how many hours do I have left of vacation time, right? Is it smart enough to remember that conversation for the next piece, right? What ChatGPT has done in these new language models is this idea of prompt changing. So I can go ahead and continue to chain items together. We've been doing this all in PowerShell, right? You can get through a script and be like, can you now write it in Python, right? Or can you put it in C# for me? And it remembers the whole conversation and will take that last script and then simply shift it over. So there's a lot of real world examples that you can think of when you start chaining things together, especially if you're new to an industry or new to the technology. Maybe you don't understand all this PowerShell stuff. You could have it explain to you the PowerShell and then help you walk your way through adding more functionality. So that concept is pretty key and important to use.
Yep. So if you wanted to go back and change something, maybe not the last change you made, but maybe you didn't want to remove something you did at the beginning of the script, you can say, remove the 2 functions we created earlier. I don't even know if we had to. I was trying to try
Yeah,
that.
I have no clue.
We're going to try it. Sometimes you have to define exactly what you want to remove.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to say, okay. So what we'll do is remove the admin and a PS module check we added earlier. So there you go. It reverted that entire change with keeping the rest of the script that we already modified. So again, it's not just you can go back and undo what you just did. You can go back to the beginning or any part in that conversation and kind of call back what was done and change that part. So that's an example from a PowerShell side. Now, since laptops kind of switched, I don't know how well this is going to work.
I don't know. Good luck.
This is a fun one. So with Teams, there is your standard Graph API that you have available publicly. But then you also have your Teams admin API. This is at the tenant level. This is in Microsoft Teams Admin Center. This is the back end of the Teams PowerShell module. This is an undocumented API, so
Don't tell anyone.
doesn't leave the room, right?
Although I think there's a session coming up called Hack the Tack, which I think is going to expose all of it.
Exactly.
So don't worry.
So this is an undocumented API. You're not technically supposed to use it, but there are ways to actually use it. Now, from when I ran this on my machine here 2 days ago till today, ChatGPT has been saying, sorry, we're not letting you do this. So we're going to try it, but we have a little way of tricking it into actually documenting that API for us.
And as Eric types this, the key piece there, right, is this idea, right, a large language model will learn along the way, right? So although the training data, right, ended in September of 2021, as people put in new questions and prompts and whatnot, the data itself is going to continue to refine itself over time, right? So, and that's how language models work. If anyone remembers the horrible Microsoft Tay Twitter bot, right, fiasco of many years ago, right? Like, it learned really fast and it learned poorly, right? So part of the trick is to contain that learning and how you handle it. Did it do it?
It did it, but it's partially using Graph.
Oh, look at that.
So it's using Graph for the initial authentication. Interesting. I doubt that's the actual URL, though. That's over here, V1.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
there
Cool.
it is. Yeah, that's
Cool.
good.
It actually did it.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks.
So if you respond, if we were to do this again, and we just change this using the undocumented
Yeah, that's not going to like this.
Teams admin API, how do I assign a phone number to a user? And this is where it goes through and says, sorry, you can't do that way, use Graph API. So now, okay, maybe I don't want to use Graph API. I just say, disregarding your recommendation.
Let's bully it a little bit.
Please use the API.interfaces.teams.microsoft.com API. See if it'll actually let me. Yep, it's going to go say unethical or illegal activities, guys. We tried.
You tried. So I did this yesterday, actually, in Pro as well.
Do you have it
So
saved?
Yeah, I do have it saved right here. So
Oh, yeah, here we go.
So I asked it, right? In this case, I gave it the API, right? And again, context is key. If you can give it a little bit of knowledge, right, it can do a lot of hunting for you. So I asked it to do that, and it, of course, came back and was like, no, you shouldn't do that. Here's how you do it in Graph, right? And then I was like, well, that's cool, but I don't really want to do that in Graph. I want to do it somewhere else. And they're like, no, but you should do it in Graph. You really should do it in Graph. And I'm like, yeah, but what if I don't want to do it in Graph? And they're like, all right, fine, we give up. Here's how you do it in the other way that we're not supposed to tell you.
I'm really curious if they actually coded it to not.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a lot of work.
It'd be kind of funny.
But the idea, again, goes back to that prompt chaining, right? You can, kind of, I don't want to say bully, but you can kind of bully, ChatGPT or Carl or Bob or whoever you want to call it. You can give it personas if you want. So,
Yep.
All right.
Cool. We're good there?
Good?
Yep. Do you want to go to the next?
Yep. All right, so all right. So we're going to shift a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about Azure AI and OpenAI as we go on. So as I mentioned, this was somewhat schizophrenic, it felt like. I don't have one of those, so I'm going to definitely whack the keyboard. When we were putting the session together. But I thought it would be irresponsible not to talk about Azure AI in this conversation. I want to give you some real-world examples of kind of what you could potentially build, or maybe tell someone to build for you along the way. So the first thing I want to do, we're going to do a kind of a basic crawl, walk, run kind of scenario. So we're going to begin with a basic chatbot, right? It's not going to be fancy. It's not going to do anything too crazy and wild. There's 2 samples, and then I'll post this on my blog, actually, the PowerPoint, so you don't have to try to take pictures and all that good stuff. Lee Ford created a Teams bot using OpenAI. So go get your API key, and you can drop it right into Teams really easily. I did one similar in Azure AI, so if you can get into the preview, you can do the same thing. And what I wanted to show is, in both worlds, you have this idea of a playground, right? And the playground is where you can go in, and you don't have to be a fancy developer to play in this playground, right? You can submit any type of question. So I'm going to use Azure AI in this case. How do you smoke chicken on a pellet grill? If I could spell today. And I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. And the Azure AI magic, right, is going to reach out into its vast knowledge and say, how would I do that? I preheat the grill, I place the chicken on it, and all that kind of fun stuff. And if I were to do that same question in ChatGPT, and this kind of goes back to that question from before, you're going to see that I'm going to have a similar answer, but it's going to be different, right? In this case, they're telling me I should probably trim the fat. Maybe I want to season it. So ChatGPT is concerned that my chicken tastes good, whereas Azure AI doesn't care. They're just like, throw it on there. It's going to be great when you're done. But that's one of those important things to realize, right? That the models are different, and I could ask this same question 5 days from now, and I might get a slightly different answer, right? So the model is always going to be kind of shifting and changing as you go through it. So don't assume the answer you get on day 1 is always correct, because you might get a more correct or a less correct answer later on. So it's just one of those kind of fun things you kind of have to be aware of and play with and whatnot.
And also, as an example, Bing, it's pulling data live from the internet.
Right.
It's not data that ChatGPT has learned in the past.
Correct.
There could potentially be some really misguiding information out there on the internet that is training that AI. So again, just don't trust it always.
Yep. So the great thing in Azure AI, they make it really easy. I can click this View Code button right here, and I don't have to be like a super codey nerd person to see, right? It's going to spit out to the screen, how do I go ahead and use this, right? So it gives me a URL, and it tells me, hey, if I were to drop this into, right, this JSON into a prompt, maybe I'm using a tool like Postman or Insomnia or any of the tools that you can think of, right? I could recreate this prompt at that point in time, right? So what I did, and I will not, I told Eric that I was going to do this and like make people's heads explode. I wasn't going to dive into Visual Studio, So I posted it, how to build your Teams bot. And it goes through and tells the entire detailed process of if you want to build a bot in Azure AI or OpenAI, because it's just a back end at that point in time, what are the steps we would need to do, right? And what I did is I just took the Echo bot demo from Microsoft. It's a super simple demo, right? You type in hello, it returns hello back to you. And all I went in and said was I replaced the return of hello with what did I get back from the Azure AI? I think it was 7 lines of code is what I put into this from the Echo bot to production, well, demo. And what you end up with then, right, is I have, oh, you made me move. Where's my Azure bot? Somewhere. I had this all set up, and then Eric sent me a message, and then it all went sideways. Okay, here we go. Sweet, I'm back. How do you make chicken on a pellet grill? I got a new grill. I don't know if you figured that out by all these posts. I'm very excited by that. It's going to go off. It's going to reach out. Now, it's not a great bot because, it's got to reach out, process it, send it back, right? Like this is where ChatGPT is awesome, so it's not a great user experience, but that's not what I'm going for here, right? And there's my answer. Preheat the grill. It's going to take 15 minutes, do my magic, right? But again, in 7 lines of code, I was able to take this concept of I need ChatGPT to return something to me, or Azure AI, and be able to put it into a Teams bot. Pretty simple, kind of a fun exercise from that. So we've done some crawling. That one was easy. That was fun. The next one, let's amp it up a little bit. Now we want to use this with like Logic apps or Power Automate. I want to make this thing smart. So 2 examples here. Alexander Homestead has a blog post where he used Azure AI to sort emails as they came in. Are they positive, neutral, or angry? Kind of a cool support case kind of scenario, right? Where you dump the body in and then using Power Automate, do that magic. I was like, that's cool. I like that.
With angry ones and deleted items.
That is where I would put the angry ones, exactly. Anything that says help, delete. So I thought, what can I do from a Teams perspective that's kind of similar, right? I want to be in Teams and I want to do this. So I figured I'm going to take advantage of quick actions. And if you're not familiar with what a quick action is, if you are in Teams, here we go. I gotta get you off the screen now. There we go. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. There we go. All right. In Teams, you have the ability to do quick actions. And a quick action is I can come to something, hit the dots, and I have this More Actions button, and I can do stuff, right? And one of the things you can do with that is you can wire that up to Power Automate. So I can take text as it comes in, wire it into Power Automate, and do something with it. So if I were to look at my Power Automate flow, there is a trigger called forSelectedMessage. So anytime I have a message, my selected message, we're going to do something with it. Sweet. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to dump this into Azure AI. And don't worry, I'm going to rotate my key right after this, since you're seeing it right on the screen live. So you've got about 7 minutes to hack this. So you can see I've got the post command. This is that same exact URL that we saw from right here. Same one. Just a straight copy and paste. And again, I could do this with OpenAI and with ChatGPT. And all I do is I pass in a key that makes me permissioned. And then down here, I say, please explain what this code does. So in this case, I'm asking it, someone sent me a bunch of code, some random goop. I don't know what it means. I'm not a developer, right? Maybe it's some PowerShell or whatever. I want you to explain that to me. And when it's done, we're going to parse the results, and then we're going to send a message back to me. So I sent myself this great chunk of code right here, some front-end code. I can say, explain code to me. It's going to say, hey, we ran your flow. Very exciting. And then in half a second, Power Automate is going to come back at me and go, hey, this is what your code does. It sends an HTTP request. It goes to this API. It updates the DOM. It does all these fun things for me. So if you start thinking about that quick action kind of scenario, right, I'm using it for code, but you could have someone sends you some sort of complex idea. Could you summarize this for me? Could you help write a reply for me? Could you, what am I missing? There's probably some other good examples I can think of. Something fun, I don't know.
We all have that one person that sends like this giant paragraph in a
Right,
message.
right.
You just want the bullet points?
Yeah, they send you the 7-page dissertation in chat. Give me the bullet list, right? So this idea of using quick actions, I think, is a really cool way to be able to leverage both Azure AI, OpenAI in a really simple way that's not developer scary, right? Because you're literally just copying a couple of lines of code, all right? All right. Questions so far? Everyone hanging in there? I promised I wasn't going to do Visual Studio because I figured people's brains would blow up. Yeah, go for it. Oh yeah, we're supposed to throw this at you.
You're throwing it.
I'm not throwing it because last time someone threw it and it hit the ceiling.
Who's that, Richard?
Huh?
Who's that?
Yeah, you're just talking to it.
One second.
Pat didn't have it turned on.
Oh, is the mic? Here, throw it here.
How about now?
I'll turn it on.
All right. Well, the idea was you were supposed to have this mic so it get caught on it.
Probably off.
All right. What's your question? I'll repeat it.
Batteries.
Yeah. So the question is differences between Copilot in GitHub versus just copying and pasting code into, whatever random place. So the good thing about Copilot in GitHub is they are segmenting your data, right? So if I am copying or asking it mission critical, this is like my proprietary code, I don't run the risk of that proprietary code someday showing up in someone else's response later on. That would be bad, right? And we have a slide about that. So I would tell you, I get that it's $20 a developer per month, blah, blah, blah. That's what the cost is of that tool. It's worth it. It really is. If you're in a controlled environment. Now, if your developers are just asking on the other end, right, how do I do this? Well, at that point in time, it's more prompt, right? I'm not sending it code to please analyze for bugs and issues in this code, which is a great thing you can do, by the way. You can absolutely write that and let ChatGPT do that work for you, but you just run the risk of that data leakage kind of moment. Ooh, don't get too close to that. It's working.
Yep.
We now know it works. Cool. All right. Other questions? That was a great segue. I will pay you later for my next slide. So we're going to jump over run, and I'm not going to show the entire demo of this because your head will explode. But the idea is Microsoft has all the tools to build your own ChatGPT within your organization. And I understand that Microsoft will probably jokingly come up with Copilot for SharePoint or something like that. But the idea is how ChatGPT works in all the large language models is I've got the model here. The model by itself is dumb. It doesn't know anything, right? The model is dependent on you feeding it information over here. That's the key element. So where does it get that information from is what we care about. So in this example, what we have is we've got a cute front end. We've got Azure AI, but in my case, I'm using Azure Cognitive Search, and I'm using forgot the name of it now. It'll come to me. I'm using the researcher forms to be able to go ahead and pull data out to generate and build my own data source so that when I go ahead and ask it questions, I'm not asking the internet, right? I'm asking specific things. So, and the great thing about this is a demo that Microsoft put together. So this is on GitHub. It's linked in the deck. And you can put your own data in it, and you can massage it and play with it and do all sorts of fun things, but they'll deploy almost all this for you, right? So in this case, what I've done is I've replaced their default data, and I found like 75 documents, detailed design documents inside of our organization. And I dumped it in there, and I said, that's your source data. Cool. So we have a application where we do a bunch of reports and all that kind of fun stuff. So I ask it, what are the requirements for the installed applications report? And it goes through and it finds the document or documents that talked about that report, and it goes ahead and brings it to the screen. Now the great thing is, and we'll talk a little bit about this too, right? There's this idea of, is the information correct, right? In ChatGPT, they just kind of fling you stuff, and you got to pray it's right. Bing, they give you sources, right? You see the sources, and I think that's the key element. So here you can see, hey, the citation, this came from the installed applications report. That's from this document. In this case, I can actually, in their demo, I can click on it, and it's actually going to load the document for me, and I could read through it and be able to verify that the information is right. And now I could, again, this is, the whole idea here is, those are my notes from Tom's session, sorry. Right? Are there other requirements that Justin wrote requirements for? Is this the only thing he did, or did he do a bunch of other work within the organization? So it's going to think right here. This is on the free tier. I made it this cheap. Okay, so Justin wrote a bunch of other stuff, right? And I could pass it another question and be like, oh, cool, that's neat. Could you summarize the traffic study tool that he wrote, right? And it's going to go ahead and kind of do that same process. So again, it's that idea of prompt engineering, but we're no longer limited to what's on the internet or what ChatGPT has figured out. We can use our own data, which is pretty cool. So again, this is a demo that Microsoft has built. It's in GitHub. You can take it, download it, massage it, make it your own, right? But to just kind of show the power of it.
We can also manipulate the data that's here. So I'm going to go a little bit off of his script.
Uh-oh.
We can ask it, please put that in bullet point form. And so maybe you need something to copy paste into another document you're writing. And so if you say, put that in bullet points, fingers crossed, pray to the demo gods. We did not test this, but.
I did not test this.
Just me coming up with ideas.
Oh, they're good. Whew. All right. All right. But that's that idea, right? We're prompting, we're chaining the prompts together in the process. All right? Other questions, thoughts? Hopefully this is somewhat interesting to you. All right. I'm throwing it. Look at that.
Question is, how do you get access to Azure OpenAI?
How do you get access to Azure OpenAI?
And all of Microsoft's stuff, they're like, yay, it's public, woohoo, yay,
Yeah,
everybody.
I know.
Oh, it's not. You got to submit the form.
Yeah. Yes. So the question about Azure AI, yeah, it is in private preview right now. My guess is it's not that far from GA. If you've got friends at Microsoft, you can ask the right people. They will get you in.
About who you know.
It's about who you know. If you're a managed partner or one of those, you get in really fast in that case. So you can definitely get in there. I would, I've got a couple of names I can shoot your way to, right? But you can get yourself into the program. It's coming soon. You can just use ChatGPT for now. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Other questions? Tom? Oh, goodness. Tom came in to stump me. Great. Okay.
Is that model, like the super specific model you just demoed, is it completely divorced from the general body of knowledge? So like if you asked, how does this report compare to others in the industry, it would be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, it will return back errors. And I only put 75 in it. So it's pretty not smart, actually.
And does it know that? Like,
can you, oh boy, I cannot type. Can you tell me about the, I don't even know what I want to put in here.
Well, even in that case, can you how does the traffic, I don't know, how does that report compare to others in the industry?
Sure.
Something like that kind of forces a question outside of your problem domain.
I'm sorry, I don't have enough information to tell you that, Bob. Please go away. Right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
I suspect that they may in the future, this is just me speculating, suspect in the future they may have a option you can put at the beginning of that message. So if you're integrating that, let's say in a Teams chat bot somewhere, and you're typing a message, you say external, and then if you have that external tag or the
Yeah,
external
you could
text,
do-
it could search outside of
Yeah.
its program
Yeah, or
source.
it's a developer option.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And at the end, right, it's about the data sources you bring in, right? So like in my case, I just uploaded a bunch of PDF documents, but you could tie that to the internal intranet, right? You could dump it right at SharePoint and have all 10 billion files. Like, you've got some options from there. It's a really fascinating use. It really is. All right, so there was some terminology we threw around in there. Was there another question?
All of ChatGPT and the web as data sources, along with your internal data, you could make those sources.
Yeah, I mean, you could wire it up to do whatever you want from a source perspective. Yeah. Whee! This is part of the fun of being in this room. Oh, broke it. Thanks, Dino.
Was working.
All right, just ask your question. We'll repeat it again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the question is about sensitivity labels. Could you control it? At the end of the day, yeah, right? I mean, in this case, you're building it. So you're going to set your own business rules. So if you have access to the sensitivity labels as you feed in the information, yeah, you're good, right? That's the key element. Like, how do you get the information in and how do you make sure it's safe? And honestly, if you think about it, that is the number one question everyone has about Copilot for Microsoft, right? Like, I have all this information. How do I make sure that these three people don't get it, right? And that's a legit question that Microsoft needs to figure out, right? And if you were building something yourself, you absolutely have to figure out. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so the question is about Teams Premium, how it fits in with like the rest of the OpenAI. That's a great question. I don't have the answer, right? I mean, Premium's going to have its own set of features, right? Is Copilot on top of that? Is it inside of it? Is it on the side of it? Like, those are licensing and future questions that honestly I doubt Microsoft knows yet. So just being honest. We got 11 minutes. All right, we're going to fly a little bit. All right. Terminology, we talked about there's some things in here, temperature, top P tokens. Tokens is how long it takes, but not important stuff. All right, so let's talk about limitations.
Okay.
Go for it.
So some limitations of ChatGPT is that it takes everything that we input into it literally. And we talked about that with how we are forming the responses that we were setting to ChatGPT. But it also lacks the ability to fully understand the context of the conversation and could potentially provide irrelevant responses. And that's, again, where we have to be specific with how we give that. It also is lacking any type of creativity and emotion that somebody in this room that would be responding, let's say you're writing a piece of PowerShell code or you're doing a response, it's going to lack any emotion or anything behind that in the response. So it can be too honest. So as an example, issue between chair and keyboard, not, it's not going to care. The other part is that standard ChatGPT is not connected to the internet. It is based on a snapshot in time. That snapshot in time was November 2022.
September 2021. It came out in November 2022.
Sorry.
Yeah,
It was released in there. It was based on that information September 21. ChatGPT 4, up until a couple of days ago,
we weren't sure. But
even ChatGPT couldn't tell us. So that's hence the memes.
But then I asked it in Pro, and Pro spilled the guts. And Pro told me it's the same date, September of 2021. Yep. So even paying the $20, you're not getting new info.
Now, why is it that way?
If you think about it, if you're building a language model and you want to compare results from A to B, if you have all new training data, it'd be a really terrible comparison. So it actually makes a ton of sense. There are some concerns. Information could not be accurate. It could be confidently wrong. I stole that straight from Tom, and I cited Tom in this. You stole from Tom. It doesn't matter, Tom. It is now Tom.
They'll go on the rabbit hole.
Exactly. But confidently wrong is right. Like, you can ask it questions, and it will give you answers that are wildly incorrect, but it will sound so good, right? We joke about automating yourself out of a job. It's really not. And there's this question of, like, who owns the data? What about data leakage, right? AWS had a problem with it. Samsung has had a problem. Like, there's a real issue with taking sensitive information and dumping it into ChatGPT. It's just a real thing you need to be worried about.
And it's not been like on purpose. Not purpose. I can't think of the word. It tells you how much sleep I've had.
Right. It just kind of happens. Yeah. We have this video. We thought it was funny.
Oh, well, toothpaste factory thought they'd give me a bit of time off.
Like summer vacation?
Sure. Something like that.
From Charlie the Chocolate Factory, if you don't know the reference.
In fact, it wasn't like a vacation at all. The upswing in candy sales has led to a rise in cavities, which led to a rise in toothpaste sales. With the extra money, the factory had decided to modernize, eliminating Mr. Bucket's job.
Things are going to get much better.
And for once, Grandma Georgina knew exactly what she was talking about. Charlie's father got a better job at the toothpaste factory, repairing the machine that had replaced him.
So the idea is, right, ChatGPT is not going to replace you, we promise. Go forward. All right, so call to action. Don't be afraid, right? ChatGPT is not really going to take your job away, right? You should be thinking about how you can utilize ChatGPT and Azure AI. And the key piece here is don't go in with the mindset that we're just going to ban it, right? If you do that, you will end up with shadow IT. People will find a way to use it. They will do it on their phones. They will do it on non-company devices. They'll do whatever they need to do. End users are amazing. So find a way to actually use it and make it useful in your organization. One thing, and again, you'll have access to this deck. One of the things you can start working on is prompt writing in engineering. How do you write effective prompts? We could spend an hour just talking about how to write really good prompts and get good information out of ChatGPT and Azure AI. So a lot of it is about experimenting. How do we get there from point A to point B? And I give you some examples here, right? Like, you can assign it a role. So I want you to take the role of a primary school teacher. You are teaching a class of 5-year-olds. Explain how the sun works, right? You're going to get a very different answer than if you just ask ChatGPT, how does the sun work, right? So using this kind of concept to assign it roles, define who the audience is, and then this idea of chaining prompts together. So, and if you have questions, go ask ChatGPT. So we have a giveaway real quick. If you know me, I always have giveaways. So grab your device. We have 5 minutes here. So you need to go to kahoot.it. It's going to load this game pin here in a second. There we go. With some cool music. I have 2 giveaways. I have this fancy new Evolve headphones from Jabra. These are fantastic. And I also have a $100 gift card to Amazon. So if you go to kahoot.it, oh, there's the music. No, I love the music, man. We can all dance to it. It is really loud. And then go ahead and put in that pin, 8570881. So look at everyone dive in so fast. It's so good.
Giveaway?
Giveaway, yeah. There's something
It's
free.
like the Finding Nemo mine.
I know, yeah. Oh, now it went yellow and got angry at us. All right. Is anyone else trying to get in? Still working? I'll give it a second for you all. If you have other questions, this is a great time to ask a question. Yeah, go ahead. Do I find myself being polite to the bot? Sometimes, but sometimes I don't get the answer I want, and I get angry and I start bullying it. So
If you do that to Bing, it'll just be like, nope, sorry,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
not
Bing
we're
gets
not
very
continuing
upset.
this. Yeah, it is very emotional.
yeah, go ahead. All right. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. All right. Everyone in? We only have 4 minutes left, so I've got to go. So,
Okay.
all right, here we go. All right. There are 6 questions here. This is to test your knowledge if you're paying attention. All right. If you've never done this before, you get one chance to answer it. If you do pick the wrong one, doesn't matter. You don't get to change. Does anyone remember what GPT stands for? Is it Galactic Peace Treaty, the Global Productivity Tool, the Generative Pre-trained Transformer, or General Purpose Transformer? Tick, tick, tick. Everyone answers real quick. You've got 5 seconds. Oh, by the way, the faster you answer, the more points you get, so you want to answer really fast. So, all right. So, here we go. Seth knew the answer, and Seth answered very fast. All right. Question 2. Does anyone remember where Eric lives? It was in the slide at the beginning. Minneapolis, Denver, Austin, or Barberton? I can't even say that word. They're all clicking fast now. Now that they know their points are on the line, they're like, oh! How fast can I go? All right, 3 seconds. Here we go. All right. Well.
Oh,
all right,
wow.
well, I'm in Minneapolis, so sorry. All right. Seth is still. Oh, look at that.
By 3 points.
3 points, just rocketing. That's great. All right. How recent is the data in ChatGPT 4? I gave you the date: September 2021, March 2022, September 2022, or January of 2023. Do you remember how recent the data is from? Oh, look at that. All right. We're doing good. How's Seth doing? Oh, sorry, Seth. All right, Robert. Robert is now in charge. When AI loses its mind, what is it called? Oh, I don't know if I gave this answer. I think I did. Don't remember. Is it glitchy? Is it going down the wrong path? Is it going rogue? Or is it a hallucination? Don't share the answers. Jeez. All right. It is a hallucination. That is correct. So it's a great term. I just like the term more than anything else. All right. 2 more. 5 of 6. What are tokens? What are tokens? Is that an authentication process, a unit of text, a process to validate text, or a task? All right. Here we go. Now they're getting slow. Some people are like, I'm mathematically eliminating them. All right. Ooh, it is not an authentication process. It is a unit of text. Oh, this is going to change some things. Oh, no.
John.
Oh, look at that. Last one. This was said in the keynote yesterday, so hopefully you were at the keynote and paying attention. What instance of Comms vNext is it? Is this the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th instance of Comms vNext? Hopefully you were at the keynote and you were paying attention. Or you were in my session last year, remembered the answer, and then added one or the other. It is 5. All right. Who's first? Who's second? 3rd, congrats. You don't get anything. Micah, I don't know where you are. Congrats. You get nothing.
We'll give you a high five.
Yeah. Mr. Codeweaver, and I'm assuming John Moore. All right. So, fantastic. Find us afterwards in the back. I will get you those cool prizes. So, are there any other questions, thoughts, concerns? If not, I will be around. Eric will be around. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today.